Knife! Huh? Ooh! Oh, I warned you! Ow! Oh, that looks like it hurts!
Hello guys, and welcome back to another video. Today I want to discuss one of my favorite arguments against veganism, and I say favorite because I just find it kind of funny but also really frustrating at the same time. But this one is the one that really gets me like Arr! But then again, pretty much all of them get me pretty emotional. I want to talk about the argument that plants have feelings too, or plants also feel pain. What about plants? Like basically the argument regarding plants and how plants also feel pain, apparently. Today I am here to take that argument and crush it to pieces, so let's get started. And let's just start with the basics. Do plants actually feel pain? Well, I'm not a science expert and I'm not a scientific genius. However, I do know that plants do not have what is called a central nervous system. And this is one of the biggest differences between plants and animals, is that animals have a central nervous system and have the ability to feel pain, and that means that they are sentient, they know what's going on to a certain extent, they feel emotions, they feel pain, they feel suffering, they want to live, all of these factors that come into play, all of these things that we feel as well, because guess what, we're animals too. So plants, they lack the central nervous system, which leads to the scientific conclusion that they do not feel these things that animals feel. So that is the scientific consensus at this very moment. Yes, there have been some studies that may suggest that plants may feel pain too. However, as far as I'm concerned, there hasn't been any one reputable scientific study that has actually proved this. So what we can conclude from this is that while there may be a possibility that plants may feel pain as well, we can't make this as an assumption, and we cannot assume that they actually do feel pain. However, we do know one thing. We do know that animals feel pain. 100%. This is scientifically proven across all scientists, everyone agrees with this. Animals feel pain, they suffer, they know what's going on, they are sentient beings. This has been proven. So my question to you is, anyone that's making this argument that plants feel pain too, my question to you is, why are you focusing on something that has not been proven? On one hand, we have plants that may or may not feel pain, most likely not, hasn't been proven. And then there are animals here that we know for a fact feel pain. Why are you focusing on this when we don't know? But we know for a fact that animals feel pain, and yet most people don't care about that. Most people brush that off as if it's not a big deal. And you make the argument that plants feel pain too without actually addressing this part. That's the question that you need to ask yourself.
What is exactly your point? Are you trying to argue for the people, for the ethical treatment of vegetables? Is that what you're trying to do? Because honestly, like, no. Sorry, not gonna happen.
Unless you're actually trying to argue for plant rights, unless you're actually trying to get out there and start fighting and start, telling people about how plants are mistreated, then your argument has absolutely no valid points. You're just saying things that you don't even believe yourself, and guaranteed that anybody that makes the plants feel pain argument eats both plants and animals. So what exactly are you trying to prove or argue here, and what exactly are you standing for is my question. So plants feel pain, and what exactly are you doing about it? Of course, you don't give a shit if plants feel pain or if animals feel pain. You are just saying this to make vegans look like hypocrites. That's what you're trying to do. You're trying to make vegans look like hypocrites for fighting for animal rights when plants may or may not feel pain. So you're obviously trying to say that there's pretty much no point of advocating for anyone's rights, since plants feel pain too, animals feel pain too, we all feel pain, so we might as well just do whatever the hell we want and disregard anyone else. As long as we're happy, as long as we are living a convenient life, as long as we do whatever we want for our own selfish purposes, then we should just not care about anyone, since plants feel pain too, so we might as well just disregard anything else. Well, it just doesn't work that way, because we don't disregard everyone that feels pain. We only disregard the pain of a certain number of animals according to whatever products we want to consume. For example, cows provide meat and leather for us, so we can disregard cows' suffering and pain, and yet We can cry over the death of a lion. I'm gonna ask you the question, if you think that plants feel pain too, then why don't you go yell at people that protest against dog meat? Why don't you go yell at people that protest against the death of a lion or a tiger? Why don't you say to them, plants feel pain too, you know, plants feel pain too. There's really no substance to your argument there. You're just spewing out stuff that doesn't actually make any sense. You know, you haven't actually thought this through. Just because we can't avoid doing some harm, just because we can't be 100% perfect, does not mean that we need to disregard one of the biggest forms of animal abuse out there, which is animal agriculture and consumption of animal products. That is the biggest #1 cause of so many problems. Environmental destruction, watch Cowspiracy. The cause of billions and billions of animals dying every single year just so that we can consume these products. And you're sat there telling me that plants feel pain too. It doesn't make sense. And my last point, well, I think this will be my last point, but if I haven't convinced you yet, I just want to ask you one question. Those animals that you eat, what do you think they eat? Do they eat air? I don't think so. They eat plants, my friend. These billions and billions of animals that we are killing every single day, they eat plants, and they eat a fuck ton of plants. A ton of plants, enough plants to feed, like, I can't even remember the numbers, but like hundreds of millions of people. That is how much we are putting into the animal agriculture industry. That is how much waste, that is how many plants are dying, that is how many plants we are murdering relentlessly to feed to these animals so we can have them for food. So really, in the end, even if you do believe in the argument that plants feel pain too, still, vegans are still doing better than you, because vegans are still killing less plants because we don't need to filter out plants. Okay, we don't need to put plants into animals so that we can eat animals. We can just eat plants. Just think about how much a cow, a pig eats. Like, they eat a lot, okay? They need to eat a lot in order to get as fat as possible so we can have whatever, our steak, our pork chops, like whatever. So that's a lot of plants. That's a lot of screaming, dying, suffering plants right there. So why don't you take that into consideration? Why? Because you haven't thought this through. But now you know that the argument is not valid. It's just not a valid argument against veganism. So really try to think about what you're saying here before you start making these ridiculous assumptions and these ridiculous arguments to try to make vegans look like hypocrites, when really you're just making yourself look like an idiot. Sorry, said it. If you are at all intelligent, probably convinced you already, but if I haven't, I'm just gonna say one thing. Why don't you take a knife and go stab, I don't know, a pig, a dog, a cat, whatever is available. And then you go home and then you cut up a piece of broccoli. Why don't you tell me how it feels? Does it feel the same? Because if it does, then you might want to go see a psychiatrist. Bye guys, see you guys in the next video.